Hi guys, and welcome to a video that's meant to be more of a confession than an actual video. In this video I'm going to talk about my first impressions when I first logged in Final Fantasy XIV and how this may or may not have changed as time went by. You see, my very first interaction with the game was a friend of mine suggested it. And he was like, why don't you try Final Fantasy XIV since WoW is not a game that you enjoy anymore? This was, by the way, 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, but it doesn't matter. So I was not particularly fond of the idea because I didn't know that Final Fantasy XIV had got revamped and that it was, I don't even remember which expansion it currently was. I thought that it was Final Fantasy 1.0, and he told me that no, it's this expansion, and I'm like, sure, but the game is a broken mess. It doesn't, it's not a good MMO. And he's like, no, you really should try the game. So with mild reluctance, I trusted him. I believed his words, and I decided to actually install the game and start playing. Long story short, the first impressions were not ideal. Not because it was just how I believed it to be, but because I had been very used to the WoW art style. This whole animated appearance, animated graphics, it actually made the game very appealing to my eyes, and it was really difficult to try and adapt to something more realistic, if we can use this word. I remember my first character being a thaumaturge, Mikote female thaumaturge, yes, back in Ul'dah. So, yeah, you get the concept, right? With the whole carriage thing and just, sands everywhere being attacked by Almalja or however the beast tribes are called, I don't even remember. The first thing that I immediately noticed was that I didn't know if I will play this game, dude. I don't know if this game actually appeals to me. The visuals, the UI, and speaking of UI, it took a long time. I took a long time to actually reconfigure the entire UI to make it look as close to World of Warcraft as I could, because that was the game that I had grown up playing. Like, I have been playing World of Warcraft ever since I was how old was I? 2006 and 8. I was 14 years old. I want to say 14 years old. So you understand that there was a rough transition, right? And being a thaumaturge only made it worse. So I don't know if you guys ever leveled up thaumaturge, but 1 to X, it has to be the worst job I ever leveled up. Up to this day, I have leveled up everything up to level 60 or 70, depends the class. Thaumaturge has to be the worst experience I've had when it came to 1 towards X, okay? You didn't have most of the abilities. It was the whole concept of clicking fire and then clicking blizzard and then clicking fire and then clicking blizzard, and Jesus Christ, I hated it, okay? So the first impressions were not ideal. They were actually far from it, to be more precise. But as time went on and on and on, I caught myself playing more and more of the game. I was getting more and more drawn into it. Like, I wanted to level up every single class to level 30, so I knew that I needed to get my job stone in order to do that. Then I got my job, and then I started leveling up slowly everything. We're talking about disciplines of war, disciplines of mind, we're talking about healers, tanks, crafting jobs, gathering jobs, everything, okay? So I got everything to level 30, and this was the moment that I realized that I'm playing the game wrong. I have this goal fixated at the end, like imagine it like a carrot on a stick, okay? I had this carrot dangling in front of my mouth, and I actually needed to go and get it. A mindset that was implemented on my mind by World of Warcraft, as you may imagine. A mindset that I feel is particularly toxic. Not that goal-oriented players are toxic and doing self-harm, but it didn't work for me. Because it made me feel the need to log in, feel the need to play, but without necessarily organically feeling it. So I took a break from the game for a while, and there was a second reason for that break. You see, ever since I saw Final Fantasy XIV, my goal was to play an aura samurai, because dragon people. Dragonkin. It was a dream come true for me ever since I first saw Alexstrasza, I wanted to play a Dragon King character in World of Warcraft. So just coming to witness and seeing this for the first time, that I could have these horns, this tail. Yes, I get scalies, haha. No, I'm talking about epicness. Okay, if I could be a dragon in real life, I would very much love to. I would love to, have those scales, like a rough skin. I just love the whole concept, like a strong man, being powerful, having this exotic appearance, this exotic strength, increased agility, and all those things, those Umbra eyes and whatnot. It appealed to me very much. So I decided that when I came back from my break, I would actually take the things fresh. Back then, first of all, back then, you didn't have Heavensward as part of the free trial. You were up to ARR, and even if you did get Heavensward, you still wouldn't have access on Samurai and Aura, okay? So what I needed to do was simple. Buy the game, buy up to Stormblood, and play the character that I wanted to play. Ironically, this would take us 2 years to actually happen. Like, I would immediately buy Stormblood, and I would immediately create my Aura character, Onyxia Oronir of the clan Oronir. Yes, I spent a lot of time nerding about the lore, learning about which tribe, clan, I don't remember exactly, appealed to me. And it was the Oronir clan, I remember, or the tribe, because it had control of the Dawn Throne. And I wanted to be, this, come on, dude, I'm gonna be this epic imperial something, So you take the name Onyxia, which is a dragon from World of Warcraft, and you take the name Oronir and you blend them together. Like, this is what Final Fantasy XIV was for me at that time. A combination between, a link between WoW and something different. And to say that this game, Final Fantasy XIV, surpassed my expectations, which have been an understatement, and we'll slowly get to there. You see, when I logged in as Onyxia, I didn't make the mistake of becoming a thaumaturge. No. You see, I had already leveled up every single job to level 30, and I knew what to expect, give or take. As such, I started in La Nocia as a Arcanist? I think it's Arcanist. The job that eventually becomes Summoner, Back then it was before the revamp, so it felt very nice for me to enjoy this whole dot playstyle, okay? I am a player that in World of Warcraft I enjoyed very much. Death Knights, Shadow Priests, Affliction Warlocks, all of them were dot classes. So being given the opportunity to play another dot class in Final Fantasy felt almost ideal for me. And I remember being in Alosia and just killing those flying jellyfish. I don't know what the fuck their name are called. Those things with the hanging stuff and yeah. Anyway, I could just kill those, not because I had to do it, but because I actually enjoyed the rotation, enjoying playing with them. And yeah, I enjoyed playing my character. Slowly but surely, I would progress my character and go on and so forth, until I reached Ifrit for the first time. I remember that when I first fought Ifrit, I was like, holy shit. But okay, it was a bit of let's say that the boss it was not so epic of a fight because it lasted barely 2 minutes. I want to say 2 minutes. The boss was fucking deleted, okay? It was destroyed. So what I'm trying to say here is, even though it looked amazing and it felt amazing when I killed him, it was a bit of I want to say, not disappointment necessarily, but something hinting towards that. And I remember that from that moment onwards, every single time I would fight a primal, I was expecting the fight to be so easy, as Ifrit. That wasn't the case, and the first time I fought Titan, excuse me for that, the first time I fought Titan, I remember dying. I was knocked off the platform. Yes, I know, typical, right? And when I fought Garuda, though, it was easier, but you get the whole point, right? It was slowly an epic building adventure. And I remember eventually reaching Castrum, eventually reaching Praetorium, and how this journey was entirely different to what I had grown up to believe that was meant to be a gameplay. Like, I wasn't pushed towards a destination that I knew I needed to do, which I did. Like, you cannot progress in Final Fantasy XIV as a game unless you finish with the MSQ. But I wouldn't let that dictate what I needed to do and how I needed to progress my character and invest my time to the game. That was a new for me, a new experience, and it felt liberating. To just be able to log in and do my daily roulettes, do some leveling, and then just change another class and do some content with the other class. I remember farming the hunting log like crazy. I gave that priority over MSQ, and it was fucking funny because I wouldn't stop doing that. I was drawn, okay? The game had caught me. I was his. It's not his. It's not a guy. Ironically, the first guy that actually got me had to be Robon. That was the first guy that I was interested in as a character in the game. What I remember advancing through 2.x, you know, the patches, was that I need to finish this, I need to finish this. And that was when I caught myself doing the same thing that I told you I was doing back with my first character. Being fully goal-oriented, because everyone was telling me that Heavensward is amazing and you're doing the shitty part right now. So if you should be done with this in order to enjoy Heavensward. And here's when the first sort of burnout happened, because you see, I would put all those hours and upon hours in doing content. And of course I would read the text walls, I would watch the cinematics. I wanted to know what the fuck was going on, right? But there was an issue that I did that at the expense of my own fun, so I took a break, alright? And it would take a few months for me to come back to the game, and when I did, I would take it a bit more casually, okay? I found this an excellent opportunity to start doing Praetorium and MSQ roulette pretty much as my old classes, which I would also start leveling. I remember doing them as Paladin. I remember doing them as White Mage, I want to say. I remember doing them as Ninja. I remember trying and testing the waters, because I knew that 2.x did not give any experience, so every single experience... Why would I outlevel the content significantly? You see, I had reached to the point that my summoner was already level 70. From doing MSQ every single day, because I wasn't that actively playing the game and advancing on the storyline. So I started leveling up other characters as well. Not other characters, sorry, other jobs. And amidst that chaos, you can say, this lack of direction, the same guy that brought me to Final Fantasy XIV told me, have you done Coils? And I'm like, what are Coils exactly? And he told me, dude, you need to do Coils. I'm like, yes, but what are Coils? I didn't know. And he then proceeded to boost me through the extreme trials on his high level character, so that I'm done with all the blue cross questlines. I pretty much try to do all of those because they trigger me, just their existence triggers me. I want to, before I advance to something, I want to make sure that I have finished with everything that has led me up to this point. So we do all that, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna do Coils. And this was when I met another very good friend of mine, at that time he was a stranger, but right now he's a very good friend of mine online. So we go on and do those binding Coils, and he's like, watch the story, don't bother about mobs, we're gonna delete them, just watch the story. I'm like, okay. So we just watched the story and put my entire emphasis on those, on what was going on. So the first set of Coils happens, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yes, okay, the whole concept with dragons being bound and all this shit. I'm like, okay. Then the second set happens, and if I recall correctly, Neil was the last boss of the second Coil of Bahamut. I don't remember exactly. What I remember was that it started building up. And the moment it would become more and more epic for me. I was like, I was hooked. I was hooked. I was really hooked. I wanted. So what happened next? You know, I need to know what happened next. And I was playing with more passion. Phoenix happened. And I remember losing my shit when Phoenix happened. I was like, holy shit, I need to see the last one. I need to find out what happens. And then it happened. You all know what happened. I know what happened. Everyone that's going to complete Binding Coils of Bahamut knows what happened. And we all know, and we will all know that specific moment of, you know, when a story is perfect, that when you finish it, you begin to question that, are you the bad guy? Are you the evil person in this story? And like, so we did all this damage to the dragons, our race, well, not Onyxia's race because she's Aura, but the mankind, the humans did all those bad things to the dragons. They forced them to captivity, they tortured them so that they could summon their god, and when their god was summoned, they caught their god and they used him as fuel, torturing him, keeping him in a dark abyss and all those things, right? And then you start to consider and think like, you know what? I have never seen a writing like this. I've never seen writing so good that's made me emotional. Okay, like not only made me emotional, like I remember tearing up. I remember crying, not the ugly crying, you know, like tears up and all those things. And like, I was like, this game is so good. This game is so good. And I told my friend, this game is so good. And he told me, you haven't even seen the good part. And to which I replied, well, not so kindly. I told him to F off, you know, because I was really got at that moment. And he laughed, of course, because he knew what I now know preceded that story. To this day, when I hear answers, I will tear up. And if I don't tear up actively, like even right now, I'm getting emotional. You guys cannot see it, but I'm getting emotional right now. I'm fighting it, okay? My eyes would glisten, and I would think of that moment as something to be, like, to be cherished, to be treasured, okay? So we finished that, and that was the moment I realized that Final Fantasy XIV is more than a game to me. It's a book, it's a game, it's philosophy, it even helped me psychologically, okay? Like, where World of Warcraft would try to put stress on me, Final Fantasy would eliminate that stress, and it would just give me more wholesome moments. Wholesome moments that I would love, I would think on, I would experience. It was something different than what I had been accustomed to. And I don't know if you guys consumed the games back there. One of the many games I have there for PlayStation 3 is Kingdom Hearts. I first had bought Kingdom Hearts for PlayStation 2, of course. It reminded me of that time, of the first time that I played Kingdom Hearts. Of the wholesomeness, of how emotional I became when Sora defeated Riku for the first time. No, not back in the beach, but you know, when he could embrace the darkness and all that. I want to say in Hollow Bastion, if I remember correctly. I forgot. So, this is what it appealed to. It appealed to a younger Shiny, a younger version of mine. A version that no other game had appealed to. Maybe Pokemon, okay? Maybe Pokemon, because a game that I've never stopped playing throughout the time is Pokemon. So, and finishing A Realm Reborn, doing the Crystal Tower, doing everything faded, or no, everything paled in comparison to Final Fantasy XIV, the moment I defeated Bahamut. That single moment, the moment that I finished the Binding Coils, nothing could compete against that specific moment. And that's pretty much it, really. That's what I wanted to say in this video. I wanted to confess how it felt for me to embrace this new adventure. And I will make more videos like this, more for, especially for Heaven's Ward, for Stormblood, for Shadowbringers, and for Endwalker. But for now, I wanted to speak about A Realm Reborn, and the reason why I got to making this video was my Twitch channel. I just completed Ridorana. I jokingly called it Nidorina because it reminded me of that same consonants, you know, not the vowels, the other things. I don't know how they're called. It reminded me of Nidorina, so I would, you know, I called it like that. So I finished this, and I finished. I finished the second raid as well, the one with the lighthouse. The ancient shit that in the end you fought this big ass dragon, Yizmat. So I'm not good with names, okay? And I wanted to make sure that I talk about my story, about my journey so far. So here you guys have it. You get to listen to the confessions of a shiny head talking about Final Fantasy XIV. This was my first experience with the game, A Realm Reborn. So to sum up and to end this video, I want to say one last thing. The team that wrote The Binding Coils of Bahamut, the sound team, the guy, the girl, I don't know who the fuck, wrote and composed Answers. The person that sang Answers, I want you to know that even to this day, I will log in Final Fantasy XIV, queue for Bahamut Prime, wait for 2 minutes before I engage the boss, just so that I can listen to the sound. Engage the boss, take it not necessarily fast, on purpose delay the transition of the phases, just so that I can get enough of the dose of that soundtrack, of that fight, of that moment. And yes, I know I can listen to the music on YouTube, but it's not the same. To me, the scenery, looking at Bahamut spread his wings open, become red, and see those Terraflare moments just, you know, tick down 5, 4. I'm doing random things here in front of me because I actually have the mental picture right in front of me. I'm not talking to a camera. I'm just imagining it. I'm not imagining it, all of it, you know? Thank you. Thank you for making that. Thank you for creating this. Thank you for making this mental picture in my head. Thank you for creating these memories. Thank you for making me feel as I feel today. And thank you for being responsible. For me, meeting amazing people in the Final Fantasy XIV community. Sure, not all of them are epic, but personally, I'm surrounded by friends. And you, the team that created that, are indirectly responsible for this. Because if it wasn't for Bahamut Prime, if it wasn't for the Binding Coils of Bahamut, it would be possible that I would not have advanced to Heaven's Ward, that I would just have given up. That raid sparked up a fire inside me and made me bond with the game so much and so deeply that I will definitely never forget this. Thank you for watching the video, guys. I hope you're safe, I hope you're happy, and I hope you find what you're looking for in your lives. If you're looking for a game, I hope you find the game that is like Final Fantasy XIV was to me. A game that will help you grow as a person, a game that will make you a better person, and a game that will actually nullify the stress that you've been getting from real life. For the last time, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.